You are now listening to the new Old Heads podcast, premiered every Thursday at noon Eastern Standard Time at bringdowntheband.com, and brought to you by No Bad Ideas, Coleman Dental, Printfinity, Indie CD and Vinyl, and Sun King Brewery. Support the new Old Heads by visiting our Patreon at patreon.com/newoldheads.
We're now tuned in to the new Old Heads podcast. I am Major 7th. My computer is still working well. Jay Diff still hates that, but we'll move past that. I think this is the last time I'm going to mention it because everything has been going just so great. He hates it, so I'm good with that. The whole crew is here. For everybody as well out there that is in the chat. And we appreciate the subscribers as always. My man Jay Moore, what's happening, sir?
You know, just trying to stay Rona and police free. It is what it is, man. I hope everybody's wearing their mask when they're out and about amongst these people.
I see you out there in the streets, backing you in your element a little bit in some of the spots, but I do see you.
We're trying. The people aren't making it easy.
No, I know you're going through some things, man. People just don't want to do what they're supposed to do, but I know y'all will.
They don't.
No, y'all will make it, so it's all good. My man DJ Jay Diff, what's happening, brother?
Salutations. What's good, man? Don't nobody care about your laptop, bro.
Oh,
still to this day. I don't hate on it. I could care less. Enjoy your laptop.
I feel you, man.
To this day.
I feel you. How's the family? Everybody's good? Healthy? Baby's good?
Everybody good, you know, drinking water, taking vitamins.
Okay.
That good shit.
Be positive because you clearly are in a negative mood right now. My man Lonegevity, live from the Bringing Down the Band headquarters. What's up, sir?
Hello, my Maja. How are you doing? I don't like calling you Maja.
I know it. You've known me long enough to call me probably 4 or 5 different things, so that's cool.
It's not natural, but I should probably get into the habit of calling you Maja on the show. I'm gonna look at the camera every time I say it, Maja. So yeah, I'm doing all right. Can't complain.
Right. Where's your comb at tonight, brother?
It's right here. You know,
so
it fell out earlier. It's still not. It's not grown quite fully.
You cut it. I feel you. That's all good. Rounding out the crew, the incomparable DJ Spoolz.
Hello, Michael.
How are you, sir?
I'm well, man. How are you?
Good. Billy Donovan's the Bulls coach, man. You happy about it? What's your early feelings?
I mean, we'll see. We'll see how it goes.
Okay.
Like, I like him better than the last 2 coaches. So.
Okay, that's a fair.
I don't know.
That's a fair.
That's 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 and Boylan. Like, I love Thibodeau, right?
Yeah. You've always been pro Tibbs. I remember that. So I think a lot. I'm seeing I'm seeing a couple more people saying exactly what you just said. We'll kind of have to wait and see. So nobody is jumping out the window just yet.
I'm not like mad about it though.
Yeah.
So
we'll see.
We shall see.
All right, man. So we have a pretty good rundown, I would say, for today. So let's go ahead and jump into the topics. Chat, we appreciate y'all as always. Make sure you get ready to drop the comments. We got some of the homies in the building already for the chat. I think Nicole is in the building. Eric's in the building. My man Poppy Amon was in the building. We appreciate you all as always. No Mathis, we see you. So let's go ahead and get it started. Oh, there was a poll. I don't know if it says Hip Hop Hub. There was a tweet that was put out. It says who's a better lyricist? It was between Lupe and Kendrick Lamar. And Lupe responded, retweeted the comment and responded, Lupe, but that was his response. So the internet went crazy and all the Kendrick fans came in, and the president for TDE, who goes by Punch, he came in and just put laughing out loud like he dismissed the entire thing. Lupe went on to kind of clarify where he was coming from. He said, in my own words, once again, he said, once again, for you bitches, this is Lupe. He's like, I love K-Dot, always have, always will. With that being said, do I think he's a good lyricist? Yes. Do I think he's the best lyricist? No. Do I think it's lyricists that are better than him? Yes. Is he a better artist than me? Yes. Is he a better lyricist than me? No. Does he make better songs than me? Yes. Do I think Control was ridiculous? No. Am I jealous of K-Dot? No. So Lupe pretty much was like, he's going through pretty, saying that he respects Kendrick for who he is, and kind of broke it down in terms of the comparison. Did I personally give him props in Chicago on stage as the next nigga to take the crown? Yes. Is it on camera? Yes. Did I mean it? Yes. So that's Lupe's whole response after everybody started going crazy.
Right.
So I want to go ahead and throw it out to us, just on the panel and everybody in the chat. Does Lupe have a point, or you bothered like the rest of the Kendrick fans that thought this was laughable? Because we've talked about Lupe. We had him on our rappers, top 100 and whatever we had. When we narrowed it down, and Lupe, he ranked pretty high, but he wasn't as high as, I think Kendrick beat him, if I'm not mistaken. We'd have to pull up the list, but I believe Kendrick beat him.
Oh, he did. Kendrick was in our top 10. He was like 7th.
There we go.
Great.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Thank you, Spoolz. You're right. Thank you.
Yeah,
Lone,
I
I'm
think
coming-
Lupe was like 26th, I think, or 27th, somewhere around there.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Lone, I'm coming to you first, man. Does Lupe have a point, or is Lupe out of his mind with the statement? Yeah.
I think his statement was 100% accurate
Okay, why?
because he is a better lyricist than Kendrick. I do think Kendrick makes. He might have been polite a little bit with this Kendrick make better songs. I think it just depends on what we're going to argue. But I would say overall, Kendrick's music definitely seems to process better with popular culture and the masses as far as Lupe. Otherwise, Lupe would probably be even bigger than he is. But as an artist, I'd probably lean a little bit towards Kendrick Lamar being the better overall MC. But as far as lyricism, Lupe's in top 3 ever, probably. So,
Okay.
And Control, and I absolutely agree with him on the Control thing. Kendrick's stuff on Control didn't really impress me. Like it wasn't Method Man's verse on that Conway record. You know what I mean? Like it wasn't like that, and I think it's the lack of maybe punchlines sometimes, because he's very literal in his speak. So whereas Lupe is way more in depth with what he writes about, and that's not a knock to Kendrick. Kendrick's amazing, but I actually 100% agree with Lupe. So
Okay. Jay Diff, talk to me.
I think Lupe pretty much summed it up with his B Rabbit response to what everybody would say about what he said. You know what I'm saying? I mean, he is a better lyricist, per se. And when it comes down to actually breaking down what he's saying, the thing about Lupe is you have to have a little bit of intelligence to follow even what he's saying. So that's where he kind of misses the mark with a lot of people actually listening to him on a popular versus or underground level. But, I mean, it's obvious that Kendrick is a better artist. I mean, Kendrick is going on world tours now by himself, headlining. And I remember at one point he was actually just kind of filtered in. And the first time I seen Kendrick live was Mac Miller and Wiz Khalifa. Literally nobody sat and watched him perform by his walking around. So that just kind of shows you how he elevated his artistry. Lupe, last time I seen Lupe perform was actually at Bloomington IU in a theater. That just gives you the draw of these two artists.
Right.
So, and that's where I'm at.
I could dig it. Spoolz, talk to me.
No, I think it's interesting the way Lupe responded and the way he broke it down, I guess. I think he's I mean, you guys have said it and we've all listened to Lupe. Like, I think he does go, Sean hinted at it or said it, he does go a little bit, tend to go more in depth in his songs, and which equates to, I think, better lyricism, or part of that. It's part of it being a better lyricist, but I guess I like the way he defended. I mean, not defended himself, but just the way he responded. So I mean, we talk about that stuff on this show a lot, right?
Sure.
Like the kind of the breakdown is this person a better artist versus are they, better MC? You know what I mean? Like we always kind of, this person's, Drake always comes to mind or some other people. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
I like the way he was able to kind of make that separation and let his feelings be known about it. And I don't know. I mean, super mega fans or stans or whatever are always going to just be what they are. You know what I'm saying? But
Yeah.
Place like this where we can just have like an objective conversation, I think is dope. And yeah, I say, no harm done. I don't think he was meant anything bad, so.
I could dig it. Jay Moore, talk to me.
One of the things I think is actually very extraordinary about both artists is they can be what you consider to be lyrical and have content within their music and the different time periods almost, but they were both able to find a way to have a certain level of mainstream success. When I hear a song like Superstar by Lupe,
Big record.
like I don't feel like there is so much of a concession there that I was like, okay, Lupe, he did this. He's just trying to get on the radio, this, that, and third. I mean, because he still hit him with that lyrical content. Same thing when you talk about a song like Paris, Tokyo. Of course, it sounds like what some rappers call a girl record. But you know what? I mean, he's still being Lupe. But
got off on that joint. Still.
I really feel like he has the right to say what he's saying. Not only because he's a dope lyricist, but because I feel like he laid a certain groundwork for someone like Kendrick, because Kendrick was able to come behind Lupe, still maintain a lyrical credibility and still talk, that good shit, on these records that were able to reach a certain level of mainstream success. So, I don't think that Lupe is out of pocket by anything that he said. I think that he's a dope artist, an incredible lyricist. I think really when you look at Kendrick, he's figured out a way to take Lupe's style, like the formula, if you will, of having those records like a Kick Push. Once again, another record that got a level of mainstream acceptance, still being lyrical. And Kendrick is like, okay, I'm going to take this to the next level, So if in a lot of ways, even though it's the difference between Chicago and Los Angeles, if there wasn't a Lupe to show someone like a Kendrick, it was like, okay, you could flip it like this. You can have this level of acceptance and still kick those real lyrics and still get on the radio and still do these big shows and have your video on these different outlets. We wouldn't have a Kendrick.
Right.
So, I don't think that Lupe is trying to sun Kendrick, but at the same time, he's like, in a way, and I don't even think he's trying to do this, saying like, look, fam, you wouldn't be here in a certain way. That's what I'm saying. Like, Kendrick would not be here if it weren't for a little bit of the track that Lupe laid as far as having somebody lyrical be able to get a certain level of mainstream acceptance.
But I don't think Lupe's like targeting Kendrick though.
No. I definitely don't want to say that. That's me. That's my hypothesis and seeing how the game is formatted and what it is. Because at one point, I remember Lupe, like his first two albums came out the same day as, and this sounds crazy, came out the same day as 𝗀𝗎𝗋 albums. And it was a big deal that Lupe sold more than 𝗀𝗎𝗋. Because 𝗀𝗎𝗋 had the records that were already on the radio, already in the club, making noise. But here was somebody who was considered more lyrical, more quote unquote real hip hop, and he was able to sell more records. I'm just saying.
Hey, Diff, jump in there.
Yeah, it gave it a certain level of credence to where like you can still be lyrical and get this mainstream love.
Right.
Hey, Diff, what were you saying?
Lupe was already on the hit single though whenever that happened. And his album came out with Kanye. Also,
I mean, Chicago was hot at the time.
Yeah. Also, I kind of don't agree with you as far as Lupe setting the tone for Kendrick. He's definitely a lyrical artist. I don't even really see them as similar artists at all. Like their content is totally different in my opinion.
I think he's talking about, well, the content is totally different, but it's still, it's not the content of the norm. I guess that's where you can compare them. Like, even with Kendrick and Lupe, their content is different.
I mean, but there were other. That's not what I'm saying either,
Okay.
Mike. What I'm saying is, I mean, before Lupe, you had, let's say, like a Mos Def, a 𝗏𝗏 𝗀𝗏.
Okay.
You also had, I mean, it's arguable to say that even Jay-Z is a lyrical artist. Biggie's a lyrical artist. The way he flips words and things of that nature. I think Kendrick is cut from a cloth of those earlier artists versus a Lupe, in my personal opinion. Even like a Tupac, which people don't necessarily consider so lyrical, but he was poetic with it. You know what I'm saying? I kind of Kendrick and as an artist that kind of pulled from a lot of those earlier artists. My personal opinion.
I think Lupe. I mean, I think Lupe. Well, we're gonna talk about a lyrical standpoint. If you listen to Food and Liquor and the Cool, like those are
albums
above and beyond. Yeah, like those albums are ridiculous from a lyrical standpoint. Lupe still got joints where I go back and listen to. I'm like, damn, what the hell was he talking about? I have to go back, and I've heard his whole catalog. So if you want to just put it on paper and say he's a better lyricist, like I'm not mad at that. But Kendrick Lamar's body of work, his cumulative body of work, and his albums, and we want to talk about discography, I don't think there's a comparison. I really don't. Like if you're talking about Section 80 all the way up until Damn, it's just no comparison to me. Like Lupe, I think Jay Moore said it. He came out the gate the first two albums, but after that, like Kendrick continued to stay at that level, or if not go higher, with his project. So
was actually Lupe's most successful album, the commercial ass album.
I didn't like Lasers.
It was whack. Yeah, it was whack in my opinion, but that was his most successful album.
And I don't even think he liked that album. I think he's even said that. No.
I didn't like
his first two, no doubt. His first two albums, Lupe came out swinging.
Yeah,
and those first two are phenomenal records, like timeless records, really.
And I think I don't know if we saw an artist with Lupe's lyrical ability reach the heights that he did at that time. Like it was kind of a first, really, kind of in a way. I don't know. Maybe not, but it seemed like it to me. I think another interesting thing when the comparison of Kendrick's career versus Lupe's career is control over your music and what you can actually put out too. Who knows if Lupe was in more control of what he could put out, what he would have put out. Kendrick was in a lot more control in the creativity of what he could do. So we'll never know.
But I know Jay Moore said that's his personal, his personal thing, but I don't look at, I think he gave him as many props as he could. Like I think he gave him, his just due with the paragraph that I read. So, Water Under the Bridge, and he talked about TDE being his favorite label and all that. Like it was cool. Yeah.
Who was in Lupe's lane before Lupe was in that lane?
I don't think it was a shot at him.
Oh man, I don't know, man. Can you say? That's a good question.
Does he fall in like the Tribe Called Quest line?
Lupe? Yeah, I don't. Remember there was some controversy with like Tribe Called Quest and Lupe.
Extension, if there was such a thing, just a thought, just throwing it out there.
I'm not mad at that, Spoolz. I think he's I think his lyrics are more complex than Tribe. Way more. Not even close. But it's way more. He's way more complex than them.
I don't think anybody was in his lane. And I see, Abe said Pharoah, and I could agree with Pharoah. Pharoah's an amazing rapper,
that makes sense.
MC.
Pharoah, whoever said that makes sense.
But if we combine not only just what he was doing as an artist, but also like how far his reach was, I don't think there was an artist in Lupe's lane in the commercial sphere of things. I can see artistry. I can definitely see Pharoah.
You guys ever read about how he got his start and how he got helped to get funded into the business and stuff like that?
Talking about Lupe?
Yeah. Oh no, just read it sometime. It's interesting. I mean, it's all allegedly. It's interesting. So yeah, check it out sometime.
Word,
All right.
word. That's what's up, man. Let's go ahead and jump into our next topic here. So, Spool shared this concept with me, and well, just the idea of Hit Boy, and we've been talking. We were talking about Hit Boy, obviously with Ill Brown. Shout out to the homie Ill Brown. But Hit Boy, there was I believe there was either a video or somebody reported that he's in the studio with Freddie Gibbs. I think it may have been on Freddie Gibbs' IG story. I'm not sure if I'm misquoting. I'm sorry, but I know they're working together. Hit Boy has a project with Benny that's in the can as well that sounds like it's close to being complete, if not complete. We know what Freddie Gibbs and the Alchemists have done with their projects, Mad Lib, if you want to go back to last year. So with this producer, Nas, with Hit Boy, producer, one MC projects, like that's how a lot of the great projects started. You think about that concept that used to be just one producer and one, the producer, DJ, and artist or whatever. But do you guys think that's starting to become a trend in terms of will that catch on and you'll start seeing more projects with one producer and one artist? Or is it just that Hit Boy and Alchemist are special and they can adapt and get with these artists and make dope projects? People just see them as the go-to guys. Like, what do you guys think about that? Spoolz, I'm coming to you first on this one because we talked about this before we came on. Like, are those guys special, or is this something that might become a trend?
I don't know. I'd like to put DJ Muggs in that category as well.
Yep.
Like, he's made projects over the last several years with a ton of different MCs. I don't know. I remember when we were, texting about this a couple days ago or whatever, and or maybe it was yesterday, but
yeah,
it's just it's interesting because he's like Hit Boy's everywhere right now. He's been on
everywhere.
Yeah. Alchemist, has done it, but not like, so and so dope MC that I like is coming out with a and Alchemist is producing it too. Oh, and then the next one too. Oh, and the next one too. You know what I mean? Like, right. It's not. I mean, he's not to take anything away from him in any way. I love his production, but it doesn't seem to be the same like role that Hit Boy is on, I guess. So I don't know, man. Like, it's interesting because Nas kind of what broke that mold with Illmatic, right? When he went and got 4 or 5 whatever different producers,
top notch, top notch.
It's kind of cool to see it come back full circle, and I think it's cool. I think when 2 cats can, or however many people can get into a groove like that and pump out a project, like, I think it's cool. You know what I mean? I believe in like that part of music in general. You know what I mean? No matter what music you're doing, but like, yeah, dude, if you get in there and the shit sounds good, and let's do it. And I'm rarely disappointed with projects like this either. Like with Alchemist, I mean that joint he did with Prodigy, the Albert Einstein or whatever, that shit was ridiculous. Like
very good.
A lot of the projects he's done with with people, exclusive projects like that have been solid. And same for DJ Muggs. I've listened to a ton of those. And Hit Boy,
he dropped like 6 of them last year, or 7 of them. It was crazy.
Right.
Yeah. Hit Boy, I've always heard of, not as familiar with, and if I'm being honest, I don't like his production personally as much as Alchemist and DJ Muggs. That's just my preference, though.
Sure.
But it's interesting, and that's further interesting to me. Like, and I'll throw this question to you guys, especially Sean and Mike, or Maja, Maha, when it comes to you.
You, sir.
Is what you guys think of his production in general, like of all the producers out there to kind of be on a roll like this. Like, what do you guys think of his production, skill level, in comparison to other cats out there right now? But anyway, yeah, that's how I feel.
Well, I'll jump in real quick. I'm familiar.
And I'm not
with
saying that because I think it's poor or good. Either way, I'm just curious to know what you guys think as producers.
Yeah, I'm not in love with Hit Boy's production, but I think he's got a lot of dope stuff. I don't know. I think he's on par with pretty much everybody else for the most part. I think it's kind of back to not to jump completely off that question, but to kind of address the other one too. Like there have been, I mean, outside of Hit Boy, like in Muggs, this has been kind of a steady thing for a little while now. Actually, like we did see, see in the chat, you know, Apollo Brown's been doing it. You know, oh no,
for sure.
You know, definitely on an underground level, we've been seeing this for a minute. It's really just, I think, the fact that Hit Boy is kind of crossing thresholds a little bit, and a lot of the releases are more mainstream. You know, it's like,
D-Don does it. If you guys are familiar with him,
yeah. There's a lot of people that really do it, but Hit Boy is like working with Nas, and he's working with apparently Freddie Gibbs, who's really hot right now, and then Benny, who's really hot right now, and then, you know, like I do think there is a little bit of a difference than what Muggs was doing, you know, because he was working with primarily a very exclusive niche of artists.
That's true.
But so yeah, that's it would be dope, and I think it'd be dope if that actually if that was actually a thing. But yeah, I'll let Mike. You can talk about that.
No, I'm with you. I think it's,
excuse me, Maja.
Don't do that. I think there's a lot of on the underground level. We see this before. Like somebody put in the chat, 𝐀𝐿 Brown. 𝐀𝐿 Brown's another guy that works with a lot of artists.
Yeah.
Exclusively. Hell, 𝐿𝗲𝗱 and Ninth Wonder did joints back in the day. They did a whole joint. Live from the tape deck. So
𝗏𝗏.
you know, I'm sorry, 𝗏𝗏. You're right. Ninth Wonder and 𝗏𝗏 did Cloud9, right? So these joints have been happening. It's just with Hit Boy, who I think is extremely talented. I'm familiar with a lot of his work, and he's, you know, his versatility is one of the things that stands out to me. The fact that he's doing it on a quote, like, you know, we talk about quote unquote mainstream level, that's different. You do a project with Nas, you do a project with Benny, who's bumping, you know, who's crazy right now with Rock Nation. And then you throw in Freddie Gibbs. He's doing projects with those guys, especially if they're full joints. Like, that's different. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I wanted to kind of talk about it, because, you know, he's kind of taking it to the next level in terms of, you know, some of the artists that he's reaching out to. So I'd be curious to see the trend. I've said this multiple times, but I'm really curious to see what he comes up with Benny. Like, I want to see what types of beats he gives Benny. I think it has potential to be better. I think it has potential to be better than the project he dropped with Nas. I really do. You know, so we'll have to kind of wait and see. Jay Diff, what are your thoughts on this concept? Is it a trend, or these guys are just special?
I think it's cool because
there we go.
I would go as far as to say as it. You hear me? I would go as far as to say as never really stopped. It just hasn't been as mainstream because a lot of artists have been doing it for years and years and years. With Hit Boy doing it, it's just that he's more of a popular producer, so to speak. So that's what's kind of drawing attention to him doing it. To me, it actually leads the artists to have a more cohesive sound, kind of follows and peaks at certain levels that artists, because they had time to build and actually create something together, versus I'm just sending you a beat here and there and you're picking and choosing. You know what I'm saying? So I kind of like the dynamic. See a couple people in the chat saying a few artists like Massa Ace, Marco Polo. Everybody knows that Blue and Exile Below the Heavens, how cohesive that sounded. You know, it's just a matter of finding that pocket with that artist and producer and making it move.
I'm a big Apollo Brown fan, and I've always, you know, like, appreciated those projects that he's done like that. The one with Rock Marciano, I think, at one point. I believe, I could be wrong about that one. The one with 𝗏𝗏.
Sky, Joel Ortiz, OC.
Yep. The OC project,
I'm with you. And more, put a bow on this one before we go to the partners and try to get to our last topic.
Well, I mean, I think I don't know if it's going to be a trend born out of the fact that we're in this COVID thing. It's probably better that a lot of rappers lock in with one producer than to have a whole bunch of people in and out of the studio.
It is
If people are
certainly
even working in the
responsible
studio
in that regard. Yeah.
Yeah. But you got to think about, LP pretty much doing his thing with Killer Mike. You can take it back to that. When you're talking about, somebody locking in with a producer, Jay-Z did this with No ID for 444. So, I mean, I think it's cool because there was a time when this is what everybody did. I'm old enough to remember when, basically you might have locked in with one, maybe two guys, Larry Smith and Rick Rubin, Russell Simmons, when he was, like I said, people got to remember a lot of those early songs, hip hop joints that we remember and love were actually produced by Russell Simmons. So I like it as a trend because I'm one of those people that I really like the new Nas album. Like it has grown on me every time I've listened to it, and within this climate where a lot of times you don't revisit albums just because so much stuff comes out. I've gone back to that Nas album, since it came out and really really enjoyed it on a level that I don't really I haven't enjoyed hip hop albums in a while. So, shout out to Hit Boy because honestly, it doesn't sound like the stuff he was doing when he was, under Kanye, like as far as Click and Ends in Paris and this, that, and the third. But when I hear songs like Car 85 or King's Disease, like those are my joints right now. So I hope it becomes a trend because I like to hear cohesive projects as opposed to this nothing wrong with the piecemeal a way of putting together a rap album. It's worked for some people, but for some people it's like, okay, I'll go ahead and get this producer from a West Coast sales. I'll get this producer from my East Coast banger. This is the person I'll get for the single.
Yeah.
Okay. And that doesn't, it just sounds like, an artist making a compilation,
Right.
So, I mean, and that was really how a lot of, when you go back and listen to the late 90s hip hop albums, that's what it really sounds like. It sounds like artists making a compilation, almost like they're making an album for like a soundtrack, but it's just one artist. But I'm glad to see this trend. A lot of times I see trends in hip hop I don't like. This is one I do like.
I'm with it. Jump in, Jay Diff. I'm sorry.
To his point, that's kind of what at Outkast stand out a lot too. Having organized noise, manufacturing that sound for them, it gave them that something that nobody else could get. You know what I'm saying? It built with them. It just matched with them so well. So yeah, I definitely agree with that sentiment.
Yeah, and as somebody that has done solo projects with artists many times, I have a handful of them actually. It's definitely a completely different dynamic working with an artist on an entire scope of something as opposed to just like throwing them something that might fit something that they're already working on. It's different, So I've definitely walked into studios, if you will, with artists that I was gonna work with them on a project, and I've listened to every beat that they've had on their project so far and said, I don't think you need me on this project. And that's just kind of what it was. I'm a big fan of I'm also a big fan of the one producer, one artist, or maybe not even one producer, just like a team of people working together for a collective project. I think
that's
is what
the
I'm.
word.
Like it doesn't have to be one producer, but like if you listen to Kendrick's albums, there's a whole bunch of people a part of it, but you can tell that there was an intense focus on cohesiveness, and I'm a fan of that.
Yeah, and when it's a collective.
No, he works a lot with Terrence Martin. Terrence Martin has like a whole
Thundercat
group of musicians that he runs with. Yeah,
Soundwave is his guy too, man. Like Soundwave sculpted a lot of his early stuff, and he keeps him around. Dude is a beast, also. So it's one of those things where I would like to see it. If it's done right, I would like to see it become more of a trend. If that's the case, but we'll just have to kind of wait and see. But I do want to hear this Benny. I'm really curious to see if Hit Boy can can lock in with him. I saw a couple videos where there were some, sneak previews, or you can hear some records in the studio. And from what I heard, the shit sounds dope. So we'll have to wait and see, man, for sure. But let's go ahead and shout out our partners real quick before we get into our last topic for the show. We'd like to thank our partners for the new Old Heads podcast: No Bad Ideas Clothing Company, Coleman Dental, Printfinity, Indie CD and Vinyl, Sun King Brewery, and the hub for all things New Old Heads, bringingdowntheband.com. Remember, once you type Bringing Down the Band in the search bar on YouTube and the page populates, subscribe and hit the bell for notifications. And as always, we thank you for your support. Now back to the show.
Okay.
Are we good?
All right.
We are good.
All right. So let's get into our last topic here. This is we have titled, and shout out to Jay Moore. This is Kanye versus contracts. So he's been tweeting a lot over the last, what do we call it, probably week, because I think he was tweeting as we were on our last episode. We were taping. I sound so old. Recording our last episode. He has really jumped into the music industry and how the music industry is bad, and the importance of independence and ownership. And Lone actually did a kind of a one-off on Bringing Down the Band page or the New Old Heads Network. I can't remember.
It's Bringing Down the Band. It's my Be a Better Artist series. Yeah, but yeah.
There you go. That you'll be able to watch on Twitch. I want to kind of ask you guys what you thought about his series of tweets as it relates to him showing his contract, the importance of how the music industry is, and not the importance of that, but the importance of knowing how dirty the music industry is. In my personal opinion, I feel like people like Master P and Tony Draper and all these cats have been talking about this for years. Like, I don't know if Kanye now has the platform, so that makes it a little bit different. I think it could be good if there's some structure behind it, because one week is I'm running for president, the next week I'm trying to figure out what's going on with Adidas, and the next week it's like I'm tweeting about my family. Like, I don't know what the hell be going on with dudes, so I'll never see him locked in on one thing. It's always sporadic. But if he was able to lock in and maybe try to establish some form of a union and try to get some artists to band together, I could see this being something that would be dope. But the concept is not new. Like we've heard, P was talking about this when we were teenagers. So Lone, I want to come to you first and see what you think about just the overall concept of those tweets, because there's some importance there. But do you see any, do you see this becoming something that might have some value, it might grow some legs and have some substance, or is this just a tweet rotation and it'll be something else next week?
Yeah, I mean, he was just spouting a bunch of nonsense. Really, I mean, all the stuff that he was saying was relevant. It's just like he was saying it as if he was the Messiah, and he was the first person to ever speak about owning your own masters and contracts and all this other nonsense. Like, what are you talking about? Like, it was just a lot for me. But what he was saying did have merit, to an extent. Seemed like just a rotation of things. I don't know. To break everything down, just to let you guys know, like, he signed the contracts. He signed them. Mm-hmm. He had lawyers. Mm-hmm. He read them. He signed them.
Yep.
Now you're crying about it. I mean, I don't know, man. Like, it's and you're Kanye West. Like, you're Kanye West. Why are you I don't know, man. Maybe I'm being a hater right now, but
they're gonna call you that because you don't agree with everything he does, so you'll be labeled as a hater for sure.
But like, the irony of a lot of the things going on was, at the same time all this was going on, we had just talked about last week the stuff about Hit Boy and using samples without clearing stuff, and then Hit Boy was also as a part of this conversation as well, talking about contracts and trying to get out of contracts or whatnot. It was just, there's so much going on with it.
Publishing deal too. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe it's a publishing deal. Yeah, please correct me if I'm wrong, but I think the idea around everything, and then I'll move on, is I think it's important for artists to understand that they should contain ownership of their work.
Mhm.
And you should leverage yourself to be in position to own your masters, even if it's in 5 years from now or something, like
Mhm.
put yourself in a situation to where you'll eventually get your full ownership back. Always have a lawyer, always read stuff over. Don't just sign blank paper. We've talked about this many times on the show. But he is kind of randomly creating a spectacle around it. When the people in the industry and the independent artists that have set themselves up to do this for years have already been doing this. So it's kind of like, it's I don't know, it's kind of in bad form a little bit, but it is what it is. I'm rambling. I'm going to pass.
Spoolz, talk to me. Did you have any thoughts, any feelings, if any, about his series of tweets? Did you see them? Where are you at with that?
No, I mean, I saw him via reading a couple articles about what he's been saying and what's been going on. But no, it's like Sean said, it's nothing new. Like he's not telling any lies about the industry, I don't think, but it's nothing new. And man, I read earlier this year, I read this Pimp C biography, right? Big long ass book, man. A ton of it is about UGK and Jive Records and their contracts and this that, and the third. And meaning, and the reason I bring that up is because it's been going on for a long time, man. It's been going on before that. It's been going on in all genres of music. I just don't, as far as the Kanye is concerned, that's great that he came and said that. But I've read an article or two. I can't remember some of the artists' names, but who have said Kanye was having him sign fucked up deals when he was trying to sign him to good music. You know what I mean?
Nobody's absolved.
Allegedly. I just always have to say that. So yeah, no, it seemed like legitimate reads to me. I can't recall the artist names, but I'll just say that I know that Kanye has his mental issues, and I certainly can sympathize with that. And but he's just so self-serving when he's in these modes, and I think this is just another example of that.
I think
in a way,
I think he has the potential with his platform to be able to do something great with it.
I mean, but is he going to? I mean, it might sound weird that I say that's self-serving because he named so many many people and all this, that, and the third, but no, it just the whole thing seems self-serving to me.
It's not. You're not wrong in my opinion.
For attention, for
the pissing on the Grammy shit. That's attention to me. That's not liberating to me. That's attention seeking. And I
think the most freeing thing he could ever do is throw away his fucking phone, man. Is get off of all social media. He lives out in Jackson, Wyoming. It's beautiful out there. Dude, just fuck all of it, man. Seriously. That would be my 2 cents. I usually don't like to just give out advice to people. I don't know his life like that. You know what I mean? Although we seem to have to know about it when he yells at everybody on these social media platforms. You know what I mean? But man, just fucking disconnect, Kanye. There we go.
I mean, my thing is the scatterbrain. I don't know what it's going to be next week. It might be president shit next week or politics. Well, I think he has the platform to be able to truly make a difference and help a lot of artists. Yes. Well, I believe that there will be structure and a well thought out plan to make this happen. I'm not sure about that. I don't know.
Likewise. Yeah. I mean, but that's kind of part of. Yeah, that's just part of it.
Yeah, it just comes with it. That's not me saying that.
I thought it was interesting that Mace wanted an apology as well. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, Mike.
You're fine, bro. It's not me saying that what he's saying is wrong. It's just why should I put that much stock into him saying it? That's my question. I'm more about actions at this point. I want to see what's going to go on and what happens and what goes on moving forward. I think whoever typed that shit out with the tweets, the most recent tweets, there were 6 or 7 bullet points, A+. Everything that he talked about or whoever typed that shit was perfect. It threw me off because all of his tweets are normally just off the cusp. So these were plotted and strategized. They were great. So let's just see if there's any type of structure that comes with this. I hope it is. In my opinion, I hope it is because you know how bad the industry is, and you know how you can get jerked. I've been jerked. Lone's been jerked. We probably all been jerked. So, you know, kudos to him for mentioning that. But this shit is not groundbreaking. This is not anything that's new. Just get a plan in place and kind of see what happens. That's where I'm at with it. Jay Diff, what's your thoughts on it?
I kind of see it as, and people are probably going to feel a certain type of way about this statement, but this is the Apple effect.
Okay.
You have an Apple phone versus an Android operating phone. The Android's been doing the same shit years and years, and Apple makes a statement, and people jump out the window like it's the greatest thing ever. It's some shit that's been around forever. It's the same thing with this contract talk, because literally, people in the 90s, 80s, 90s, Prince, he changed his name to a symbol so that he could try to avoid contractual,
Yes, indeed.
contractual shit to his record company. You know what I'm saying? Because he was tired of them taking his money. You also have people like 𝐀𝐁𝐿 who pretty much gets paid every coin that comes out of his camp, was right back into it because he learned from artists' past mistakes. He adapted. Master P, of course, I mean, he had a distribution deal when he signed his record contract. He still got most of his coins. I mean, if you were paying attention, any of this prior to 2020, you already know that these contracts is all fucked up. A lot of these younger cats are actually, that's the reason why they're not signing these deals, because it's like they don't need to anymore. It's like, if I've already made myself popular through my social network or whatever and internet, why do I need to sign a record deal? Simple as that. Yeah. And then when it goes back to they were saying Jay-Z sold Kanye's record or his rights, his publishing. That's a bold statement, because he sold an entire catalog of Rockefeller Records. So it's not like he just decided I'm selling Kanye stuff so I can get my stuff. That's how the information is traveling, though. You know what I'm saying?
When it came out to me, I'm one of the people, and I stand by this. I thought it was whack. Like I said, what you told me is context. I thought when I initially read it, I'm like, okay, if Jay-Z sold Kanye's masters in order to get his, I thought that was whack, because from the standpoint of relationship that I thought they had. Now you're saying there might be more stuff that was involved. It's new information to me. On the surface, when I saw it, I'm like, you can't do you can't do that. Like, I thought that was whack for that. That was just my opinion. But
that's the catalog. It's the same. He was pretty much trying to make sure he had the rights to Reasonable Doubt at the end of the day. So in order for him to do that, he had to sell the whole catalog. I don't know if y'all recall that at all. Right, when him and Dame was splitting everything pretty much. What's that?
I was just talking to somebody about this a couple of days ago.
Yeah.
Okay, so
I didn't know if he had Reasonable Doubt, if he ever got it back. I know Dame wasn't wanting to let go of it for a long time, but
from what I understand, Jay-Z does that's the one album he does not have the full ownership of.
Yeah.
Okay, that was my understanding.
I think he's supposed to get it after a certain amount of years.
Okay, gotcha.
Okay, right. That's new information for me. They in the internet be full of shit sometimes too, so that's my fault. But it was pitted as he sold Kanye's masters only just to get the masters to Reasonable Doubt. So okay, so I stand corrected on that. Jay Moore, jump in, man. What are your thoughts? We got about looks like we got probably from our start time at about 10 minutes. So just be clear of that before we finish.
Well, I won't take all 10 minutes. The thing is, Kanye West tries to make things seem like it's about us when it's really about him. Because 1000%. If it's not about just him, okay, I want to see Tiana Taylor's contract. I want to see Big Sean's contract. Yep. I want to see Pusha T's contract. I want to see I want to see John Legend's contract. Do you have him and all these artists that you signed entangled in the same type of foolishness that you got entangled to, because then that doesn't make you any better. Also, a lot of the things that he talks about, I've coming from radio, I have friends who are in radio and records. And, when they go over his tweets, they're like, fam, you talking about stuff that has always existed. And, okay, if you want an 80-20 split, then that's reserved for people like Master P when they do No Limit. Okay. Because Profile winds up just putting the records in stores, pressing and distribution. But Master P pays for everything else.
Right.
When you want to shoot 3 separate videos for Jesus Walks, okay, yeah, Def Jam winds up paying for it, but you have to go ahead. There's a whole thing called recoupment. And Kanye, honestly, for all the records he sold, has never really recouped any of the expenses for all of the records he sold, for any of the expenses that come from recording his albums. Like, he'll have a song like Stronger, great record, but he'll have it mixed 10 times at like $30,000 a mix. He'll go ahead and shoot $1 million videos. Does he think that these things come for free? I don't think that Kanye understands, or maybe he doesn't want to understand, and he wants to put it off on people who don't understand the record industry and how these record companies, I'll just go back. The record companies are not invested in art. Record companies like Def Jam, and when they have parent companies of their own, these are banks, and banks give you money and they are expecting in a return on their investment. And when you do not return everything on their investment, okay, well, we're going to take this much from your publishing until we get all our money back. When we get all of our money back, then you can start making some money. And that's been how it's been from the beginning. And for Kanye to go ahead and try to put out these ridiculous things about, it should be 1-year licensing agreements. Like, okay, that sounds great, but these companies aren't going to make their money back in 1 year. Not for the money that they've invested in artists like Kanye West. So while it sounds good to people, and I'm not trying to play like the people versus record companies and artists versus the machine, but we have to be adults about this. And if you're going to get in bed with a major record company and spend a certain amount of money, and you want to go out and fly 30 people out to record your album in Hawaii or Wyoming or wherever you want to record it, none of that is that's not on the record company. They want all of their money back plus some. They want to turn a profit on you. And
the whole goal is to turn a profit. Whole goal is to turn a profit.
If you think that's evil, then you should never get in bed with these record companies in the first place. And I would turn Kanye West's words against him. I'd be like, you know what? Slavery is a choice. If you want to go there with it, Kanye.
I see what you did.
And once again, if you're still if you as somebody who owns or runs a label with good music, if you're signing people to these same kind of deals, like if Big Sean doesn't own his masters, Tiana Taylor doesn't own her masters, and I don't want to hear about you not having your masters because you're doing the same kind of dirty business.
Yep. That's the thing, man.
All facts.
It's very
actually
astute point, sir.
Yeah, those are bars. I'm in this instance, I'm pulling for him because I hope can shed light on how trash the music industry is. So I want this to go well. I'm saying, like I said again, I just don't know. I don't have confidence in the structure and the execution. I really don't.
I hope I'm wrong. Most people ain't gonna feel bad for Kanye because he's boasting about him being a billionaire now. About these other artists that don't
buy back your masters.
Yeah, they don't own their masters. Right. They're also broke. So I mean, it's a little different. It hits a little different for those artists. Somebody that's a billionaire.
Yeah, it is a little different. I agree.
Kanye complaining about stuff and having money is like, go away.
It's like, find out. You know what? LL Cool J has his masters. Rihanna has her masters. You know,
He has a whole
Jay-Z had, you know,
compound
don't
in Wyoming.
yeah, find out how these people got their masters, talk to them, and then figure out how you can get you. Don't get on Twitter and complain to people like myself who are just trying to figure it out, you know, how we gonna basically pay our cell phone bill. We don't want to hear all that shit.
Kanye uses his Twitter like a whiteboard. He just puts anything and everything on Twitter. I think that's just what he uses it for.
I have found
At the end of the day,
we've said that often about him, like when he's done these things, like in the past, whenever he's become a topic for, you know, these reasons.
Yeah.
I've noticed one or most of us or all of us all say, like, this is a wealthy person problem. Like, you know what I mean? Like a lot of people, you know, I don't know. It's interesting,
listen.
man. That's just kind of goes to show again. I think it's more about, you know, more about him than it is anything else.
Everything he tweets about, be clear, it's not about the minority. It's not about the little people. There's always a caveat that's going to benefit him. So be clear. This is not about helping the little people 100%.
Yeah.
I'm saying there's something in there where he's going to be able to gain. With that being said, though, I still, you know, I'm hoping that this will be something that can really enlighten people and help artists out moving forward. Like, I'm
So
leaning
this is
towards the
thing, though.
positive on
It's
this one.
It's only enlightening people. Again, Apple versus Android situation.
Yep.
Okay.
Don't pay attention to trends and what's already out here. So it's only enlightening people that choose not to pay attention to it until it comes from the source that they want to hear it from.
Yeah,
Okay.
I saw Open
Good
Mike
point,
Eagle
too.
tweet. Open Mike Eagle tweeted, he said, it's wild to see all of this conversation about owning your independent stuff when that's literally the struggle that I've been going through for his entire career. He's like, but now he owns his own podcast company, owns his own record label, owns all of his own music. You know, like he has full
awesome.
control of ownership, but he chose that independent life, and Kanye could have done that as well if he wanted to. He didn't.
Yeah.
You know, so
He kept re-upping when they offered him a contract. He kept taking the advances. And I don't care, you know, yeah, you get a $12 million advance. That's an advance. That's not your money. They want that money back and then some.
Didn't you go over budget?
And I don't understand what you don't understand about that.
what'd you
I
say,
think he
bro?
went over budget a couple times as well.
I don't know if he went over budget, Spoolz, but you know, some of the stuff that, you know, Kanye's albums, you know, especially back then, was elaborate, man. They got orchestra, late orchestration. Like,
The Locks used to have skits on their albums about this very thing.
yeah,
Interesting.
Master P. Like this topic has come up a lot. Every time I post Master P, somebody laughs because Master P has been screaming this since we were like teenagers. How dirty the game is, and the importance of ownership.
But you know what? People didn't want to hear it from the country boys. I put that up on Twitter earlier this week. You know, when it was Master P, when it was
Only
my
Draper.
man
Only
T.
Draper.
Draper, when it was Jay Prince, people didn't want to hear it from the country boys.
Fucking Luther
You know what I'm saying?
Campbell.
And
Luther Campbell was talking about
they've
it.
been trying to give you the game for the past 25 years, but you weren't listening.
Yeah, that's a fact. That's a
Yes,
fact.
indeed.
Now, like I said, with that being said, like, you know, people will, if I say that, then I'm a Kanye hater. I'm not a Kanye hater. I'm just telling you the truth. Like, this is the era that we grew up in. We know that. So I still hope, and I'm wishing, and I'm hoping that there will be some semblance of, you know, some structure and something that actually works right. I'm thinking it's going to work well. So that's why I'm excited. So
I think it's already over.
I'm gonna be in the minority on this one, bro. I think something good is gonna come from this. I don't know if it's a union. I don't know if it's something, but I don't know.
Look,
man. But I'll be on the island on this one, man. I think it might turn.
Nobody learned from Ice Cube. When Ice Cube was the one member of NWA and said,
Yes, sir.
I want to get a lawyer to
Yes,
look
sir.
at this before I sign.
Yes, sir.
And if you still making the same mistakes post 1989 and not learning from what Ice Cube did, as opposed to getting, you know, when he didn't want to get worked over by, you know, unfortunately by Easy and Jerry Heller, then I don't know what to tell you.
Right.
Tough. It's tough, man. It's tough. Like, it's looking like it's about 10. Well, up indeed, definitely. It's about 10:34, man. I think we can go ahead and wrap it there. I know about the time that we started. Is there anything else that I forgot before we try to get out of here? Did you guys want to say anything or shout out anybody or is there anything I missed?
Read your contract.
Yeah. Drink water.
Drink water.
Wear your mask.
Happy birthday to my cousin Courtney. Love you.
Courtney, happy birthday. Happy birthday.
Here.
Drink water.
I need to get our sound effects back, man. I'm gonna try to do that. I'm gonna try to do that for next week. Is Jay? I need like a talk. Maybe I'll mute him.
Run them for. Yeah. Let me run the sound effects for a week, man. I'd have a lot of fun with those. I know when.
I don't know if we can do that.
I don't know if I can figure out how to do it virtually like that, but I'm sure we can figure it out.
I know how to use it.
Also, happy birthday to my grandmother. I believe she's 94 or 5.
Oh wow!
It's a blessing, man. If
she's a 20s baby.
She's 94 and 95.
Indeed.
Yeah, that's a blessing if she's that age. So happy birthday, Granny, for sure.
Sorry,
make sure you subscribe, Granny.
In my family in Florida's birthdays, but I love them.
Yeah,
and
make sure y'all subscribe.
Sure.
I'll tell my granny to subscribe. Yep.
We gotta get Granny a tablet. Yeah, we gotta get her a tablet, get her in here in the chat. So that's gonna do it for this episode. As always, remember to go to YouTube, search for Bringing Down the Band, subscribe there. Also search for the New Old Heads network. Search that on YouTube and subscribe there. We're really trying to grow that second channel so we can kind of separate our New Old Head stuff from Bringing Down the Band. But as always, it's the hub and everything is still under the same umbrella. We're just trying to grow some things here on the New Old Head side. Come on over to Discord, sign up there. And just sign up everywhere you see us. Follow us on Twitter, IG. Just search New Old Heads. You'll see us pop up. So appreciate all this. One. What's my favorite one?
I said, or your favorite one. You don't have to sign up on all 19 million of them, but pick one that you like.
Look, just sign up, goddamn.
Shout to my man Potts in Chicago, man.
Create an account in every single
He signed up for Discord today. Appreciate him. So any new followers and subscribers, we appreciate y'all. And we will see y'all next week. Peace.
Peace.
See ya.